Dealer stock is dwindling. Orders are surging. Campgrounds are packed. I've got updates on pricing trends, potential issues with 2021 Chevys, and some rumors ranging from factory shutdowns to potential new shortages. My name is Josh the RV Nerd. Welcome to Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan, and this is your May RV Industry Update. So welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. If this is your first time joining us, my name is Josh the RV Nerd. This is my family-owned and operated place here at Haylett RV. I'm what's called an SOB with a PhD. I'm a son of the boss whose parent had a dealership. And I'm very thankful that I've had some good leadership who doesn't mind me putting out the kind of information here, a little peek behind the curtain that not everybody is willing to give you. So diving right in here, demand has just continued to be absolutely off the charts. We've joked internally, but frankly, it's not terribly untrue. We've begun to measure the age of our inventory in hours, not in days, certainly not in months. We have had, to give you an idea what things have been like, we walked into last month, the month of April, with 34 units in stock with 0 pending deals, nothing financed, absolutely wide open inventory. We still managed to end the month with over 100 deals closed. We're walking into this month with 12 or 14 open RVs. When I say things are selling on arrival, that is absolutely no joke. And it's getting to the point where we have seen RVs sell within an hour or two of the video posting when I put stuff out there, even used RVs, especially used RVs actually, to the tune of this past Saturday, I had 6 RVs come in, either 3 on trade and 3 consignments down at our Advantage One RV consignment store. 2 of the listings at the Advantage One RV store sold that day before I could even get down there to record them. So if you see something out there that works for you, whether it's from us or not, chances are it's not going to last long, and you might want to jump on that sooner than later. So with less and less inventory available every day on dealer grounds and more people turning to a personal order or a retail sold unit, the total number of retail orders in manufacturer backlogs is at a by far record all-time high. There have never been so many orders in manufacturers' logs right now, both from dealers and from pre-sold customers like yourselves as there are right now. There's never been anything like this. Trick with that is that means that like your retail orders, they get built before almost any dealership stock orders get built, which is pushing back dealer stock more, which is causing an additional influx of customer ordered units. It's kind of become this really crazy sort of self-fulfilling prophecy where this machine is spun up and it starts to spin itself up even faster and more of it's happening. Well, as a result, dealership stocking times are 100% totally unpredictable. Every day we get somebody asking us, so when do you think you're going to get one of those in? You cannot answer that. Any dealership who says, yeah, we'll definitely have one of those in this amount of time, they're saying something just to give you an answer that you want to hear right now. The only thing that we know within roughly a month of time is if that unit is already scheduled, meaning the manufacturers have laid out a production schedule and that unit's going in there and we're made aware of it. That's the only ability we have to predict something. And roughly a month, barring any shortages, which are rampant right now, that's the best we can say. Beyond that, nobody has any ability to predict anything better coming in. To give you an idea, so that's dealer stock. But what about retail sold orders? To give you an idea of how crazy it's getting, I actually had one of my reps tell me the other day, Josh, I'm going to tell you 6 months, but I'm telling you that because it's a long enough time frame that you understand that you're going to have to wait a long time for it, but it's also a long enough time frame for you to understand that there's a lot of variables that could happen, and I can't guarantee that kind of time frame. It's crazy. Now, the thing is, you may get kind of lucky if a manufacturer is building, let's say this Cougar floor plan right here. Like Cougar says, okay, we're getting ready to build a whole bunch of these. If they have a non-retail sold slot in their RV production and you put your name in, you can slide into that. So it's not necessarily 6 months or more, but it is the kind of thing that we cannot easily predict for you. if you are looking to place an order for an RV right now, allow yourself extra time. Don't go making camping trips 2 weeks from now. We can't guarantee that. The manufacturers can't guarantee that. And there's no sign of that changing anytime soon, unfortunately. So I mentioned the phrase shortages, which is a word we've all probably become very familiar with if you've been keeping an eye on what's happening in the RV industry. It's not just the suppliers. It's not just, well, get the microwaves from someone else. It's the raw materials that go into making these things. Again, it's copper, steel, aluminum, it's wood. It's these kind of things, the chemicals that make the plastics and the parts and all these things. Those have unfortunately become in short supply, and there's always some kind of shortage in the RV industry, and there's always a little bit of duplicity. The manufacturers always have a little bit of an ability to shift from supplier A to B to C depending on the exact thing that we're talking about. But this year has been like a Mark Wahlberg perfect storm. There have been so many things that have hit at almost the same time or overlapped with one another. Like the Texas vortex ice storm things that took a lot of the big chemical plants just completely out of commission. That kind of overlapped with a container shortage issue, which slowed down a ton of raw materials and parts and pieces and appliances getting shipped into the United States. Well, that weirdly overlapped with the whole debacle with the Suez Canal getting jammed up, which slowed down container ships even further. Like, it's been this crazy, like, one after another kind of thing where these weird things just keep happening, and that's what's led to a lot of the shortage in inventory right now, because a lot of manufacturers are only building 2 or 3 days a week right now. They're not cranking these things out left and right. They're not overbuilding them. They can't. The other thing is, like, last year, the RV suppliers and the manufacturers, almost everybody last year predicted more good years. They added infrastructure, they added buildings, they added labor force, they added factory production facilities to make, I don't know, microwaves, water heaters, whatever. Well, they have all of these things sitting there waiting, so as soon as something comes in, it gets gobbled immediately and it eats that stuff up. And with demand showing no signs of slowing right now, it doesn't really sound like that's going to be changing anytime soon. Now, all of that kind of perfect storm calamity stuff has unfortunately led to some very significant price creeping this year. Price creeping is a nice way to say it. There's been some price hikes this year. I have said previously, I've seen about 5 years worth of price increases already, and I do predict that we're going to get a couple more. And that's another thing I want to give a little bit of a prediction here. This is just my my estimation, but based on being in this industry for about 12 years and talking to people who have been in it for various sales-related fields for 40, 50 years, and kind of what I'm hearing from them and putting together, I've heard a lot of people ask, "Hey Josh, should I go ahead and buy an RV now? Should I wait until this all settles down and pricing goes back down?" I hate to say this. I don't know that it's going to. I don't think it will. And the reason I say that is from my own experience in the industry, like during the 2009, 2010 period, we saw manufacturers start to add this thing called a fuel surcharge, because fuel went up to like $4 a gallon, you know, and the shipping companies, their drivers have to absorb their own fuel costs, and they just couldn't make a living. So they said, man, if we can't get more money, we can't deliver your things. I can't, you know, I could go flip burgers and make better money than that. Well, when fuel went back down, and it has stayed down quite a bit, that surcharge never went away. And in fact, if you look at some manufacturers' MSRP sheets, it still says fuel surcharge at the bottom. It's never gone away. This industry has a habit, not just this industry, any industry, name the industry, marine, auto, whatever. Pricing doesn't usually go down from the manufacturing supplier's end. It tends to only go one way. It's not the way that any of us want it. I don't want it. You don't want it. I fear it will become unsustainable. There's going to come a point where Larry Lunchbucket and Jane Sixpack, looking at just even an entry-level trailer like that, go, nope. I'll do something else. I could go to Mickey Mouse for that kind of money, and I get that. I respect that. I hope that doesn't come to pass. I fear it may. What I am hoping happens, because again, I don't predict that pricing is ever going to come back down. I am hoping that once supply issues and raw material shortages and things kind of settle down, the cost of say wood comes back down a little bit, because that will fluctuate. I'm hoping that RV pricing just kind of stagnates, and I'm hoping it's for a long time. And I'm hoping that we don't see any significant increases after this for a while. That's a theory. I don't have the statistics degrees to back up trends and things like that. Just what I've seen from my seat for doing this for a number of years, that's what I estimate is going to come to pass. And again, I hope there's just that level plateau period for a while after that. So to the question of, do you purchase now under current market conditions? Do you wait a little bit? I don't know. Again, I think a lot of people ask me that under the presumption that market pricing will decrease. Again, I don't think it will. I think if you find the RV that works for you and your family wants to go camping, then you should go camping. You should make that happen. If you're not sure, you can always roll the dice. You can wait. You can make alternative plans. But again, I don't think it's going to be a case where new RV pricing is going to dip off in the next couple of years. Now, what about the used market? That's a conversation people ask all the time. What do I think is going to happen in the used market? There's a lot of people for about a year and a half who have been saying, I'm going to wait 6 months and I'm going to get all the late model cheap ones. Well, it's not happening yet. The way that stuff is selling before I can even put the camera to it, it's not showing any signs of changing. A year, 2 years from now, maybe, I could acknowledge that. Maybe in 2 years, there's going to be a surge of used RVs out there that you can get very late model, very low use, and get a heck of a deal on it. That I don't know. I can't predict. None of us could predict where we are right now from 3 months ago. There's no way I think we can predict 2 years from now. I think you can logically connect those dots. I can respect that. And if you're not in a hurry to go camping right now, maybe that's where you roll the dice. You try to play off the late model used market. But right now, that just isn't happening. So what might be the cause of that? I think a lot of it is several factors. I think one of the major ones that I haven't actually talked about in a video, I've acknowledged it absolutely in the comments, but I don't know that I've ever actually addressed it right here. That is campground congestion. It's hard to find a site. It is very hard to find a site right now. I've had people sending me messages on like Facebook Messenger or emailing us into the store here, leave me comments in the comment section on videos like this, saying, I was camping at such and such state park. They've got 403 sites. Normally this time of year, they're only at 40% capacity. Right now, they have 4 sites open out of 403, and they're usually at less than 200. And that is not a one-time instance that I've heard of. And chances are, some of those 4 open sites were probably no-show bookings or something like that. Interestingly, robots are stealing your campsite reservations. Believe that. As this industry has grown, websites that do something, I don't know, I want to say, sort of like Travelocity. There's websites that help you find campground reservations. And what those websites kind of do is they actually almost, some of them can pre-reserve those sites and then they resell that to you so that you have a guaranteed site, because there's nothing like recommending something that doesn't end up being there. So in some instances, robots are stealing your campsites. So if you're having trouble finding a place, it doesn't hurt to call ahead and say, did you have any no-shows? Did you have any open sites? Can we stop in there? Now, that gets harder when you're camping around an area that doesn't have a really high campground concentration. Like, we are very saturated with campgrounds around here in southern Michigan. It's one of the nice places, parts about being around here. If I really wanted to this weekend, I could go camping somewhere for sure. I might have to do some calls and do some looking, and it'd be a little annoying, but I could always find a place. When you're out further where there's not as many sites and people, that gets to be a lot harder. Now, there's kind of a plus and minus to this. That campground congestion has created the biggest surge of boondockers and dry campers I've ever seen. And that is driving more solar development from the manufacturers than I've ever seen before. One of my predictions here is that even as near as the 2022 model year, which is going to start beginning in that first week of June. Remember, if you weren't aware, the first week of June is when things are changing over to 2022s from 21s. What I don't know are any potential product updates yet. No manufacturer has given me any information on that. When I get it, I'll put that out in a separate video. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, maybe you can catch that when it comes through. But I predict more manufacturers are going to offer not just like 50, 100 watt solar packages. I think you're going to start seeing manufacturers offering 2 or 3 or 4 tiers of solar, so that, you know, depending on where you live in the country and how you camp in that area, or how you personally camp, regardless of what area the country is, I think you're going to get to see more factory installed and factory warranted solar options. That's the other thing that I really like. When the factories do it, their warranty covers it. When we do it aftermarket, like, we stand behind our work at Haylett RV for a year. Anything that we do, we put it in writing. But there's always that X factor. You're always wondering, what if I'm going to get caught in between two people pointing fingers at one another? Don't like it when that happens, but I live in the real world, and sometimes that happens. And when it's done from the factory, it just takes the finger pointing away. So I think we're going to see more solar, more boondocking. One of the tricks, though, is that relates to campground congestion, is something a lot of people are doing, is relying on lands from the Bureau of Land Management, BLM camping lands. I've seen some of those things closing. I've also seen reports that there's potential legislation being introduced in Texas that would ban all free public camping or something crazy like that. So, campground congestion is a serious concern. A lot of people, I've learned, have spent years picking out the right RV. And then they look at me and they go, you know where I could take this thing? I mean, they haven't even thought that far ahead. So maybe one of the factors to consider this year, and understand I'm sharing this knowing that it could be detrimental to you bringing your business to my family's doorstep. But while you're investigating the RV you're thinking of, start investigating where you might take it and find out, are you even going to be able to actually use it? Not a lot of people are going to pose that question to you, but that's the extra stuff that we like to do for you at Haylett RV. And as if we didn't have enough challenges this year, you know? Somebody once told me that God never throws more at you than he thinks you can handle. And golly, sometimes I wish he just didn't think so highly of us. Well, what I'm getting at here is, you know, we've had material shortages, and campgrounds are congested, and slow supply chains getting RVs on the dealerships. And as if that isn't enough, the automotive manufacturers have decided that they want to jump in and muck things up a little bit too. Now, specifically what we've run into, and I'm aware that I'm pointing at a Ford, but I'm about to discuss a Chevy. I'm not ignorant to that fact. I just don't have a Chevy on the lot to look at right now. The 2021 Chevys, and potentially by extension other GM things like Sierras. I have not had a chance to verify that yet. If you're looking at one of those vehicles, if you have one of those, please research what I'm about to share with you here. But the 2021 Chevys are not sending 12 volts back through their 7-way plug, which is needed to be able to run all of the things on RVs. They're only sending about 7 volts. We ran into this the other day with a client who, they had a brand new 2021 Chevy, came here to Haylett RV to take their new RV home, and found out things like their Furion backup camera system, observation system, was not working. It's because there simply was not enough power coming back to be able to supply those, because the vehicle actually supplies the power that runs those cameras. Now, 7 volts is enough to run things like the marker lights, brake lights, clearance lights, operate the brakes on the trailer. So in that respect, there's not a safety concern, but those extracurricular accessories, it was not able to power those. So what is going on? Why is this happening? Well, have you noticed how not just RVs, but vehicles have also become really tech involved lately? There's these giant, like 26-inch touchscreens in these things and all this crazy stuff nowadays, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, it's very, very cool. But it also means that these things need more power than they ever used to, so they don't have as much power to spare. Now, this has kind of been a problem in the last couple years, and thankfully, Furrion made this little 7-way plug adapter that basically tricked the vehicle's power management system into sending a full 12 volts all the time back to the trailer as was needed. The trick is Chevy, and again, maybe other GM things, I haven't had a chance to check that, have changed their power management system, so it's just hard dedicated 7 volts coming through the back right now, and the Generation 2 Furrion plug adapters to suck the extra juice out of the vehicle into the RV aren't working. My understanding is Furrion is working on a Generation 3, but that hasn't happened yet at the time of this filming. Again, I am not at all criticizing Chevy, GM, anybody. I understand how it happens. I'm simply trying to make you folks aware. I'm not aware of any of those issues on Fords, not aware of any of those issues on Dodges right now. As far as I know, it's only Chevy. I suspect it's probably on GMC type stuff. But again, if you're getting a new vehicle, or if you have a new vehicle and you're shopping, you need to look into that to make sure that, you know, when you get the full, you get all of the expectation. Like, you're expecting everything to work when you get here. We need to check ahead of time to make sure that has happened. Now, obviously, we're doing our own internal checking on that. If you have any troubles with that, if you're bringing your business to our family's doorstep, we're happy to look into that in more detail for you. For now, this is the most recent information that I have. Now, I'd like to share with you a couple rumors, some things that I'm hearing out there. This is all yet unconfirmed, so don't get yourselves in too much of a tizzy, but I'm hearing some potential crazy things out there. Sometimes these things come to pass, sometimes they don't. I have heard rumor that some manufacturers are actually seriously considering talking about just stopping all RV production for 2 or 3 weeks just so that they can build up any kind of parts. Because they will, like, if, let's say they're short a water heater or a microwave or something like that, they'll go ahead and build the RV. They'll keep it in their own factory shipping yard, holding pens, basically, until those things come back in. And then they'll send a guy out with the microwave to install it and then ship it out to the shipping company, which then comes out to a place like Haylett RV or whatever dealerships in your backyard. Those yards, those holding yards, are full. They have built all they can. They can't build anymore, basically. So there's a couple brands that are seriously talking about, hey, until we can actually finalize some of this stuff and get some things out there, we may just hold off on that. Now, I understand that. The one that is, in a way, almost more concerning for me is I have just heard rumblings, and I haven't heard this from any factory person, although I don't think that this is something they would want to tell me. I know enough people on the supplier side that I've heard a couple people allude to something like this. A few major brands, and again, I'm not going to get into names at this point because I don't want to hurt anybody off just a rumor. I'm simply trying to share information with you at home. A few major brands have seriously talked about not building any more dealer stock inventory for the rest of the calendar year because they have that many retail sold customers already in their logs that they feel they can and need to build them exclusively for the rest of the year because, and I respect the logic of a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. You know, they've got a client who's already made the commitment, spent the money, cut the check, and they're waiting for their RV to show up, and so far no VIN number's been assigned for it. I get it. I hate the idea of that happening from my own standpoint because you're already seeing how much open acreage is behind me in this video. You know, it's uncomfortable for me to look at every single day when I pull into the lot. The idea of that getting worse because literally nothing starts coming in, and you may have noticed my new RV videos have really slowed down lately where I was getting, you know, 5 to 8 a week. I'm only having the opportunity to shoot 1 or 2 new RVs a week right now because it really has slowed down and everything that shows up is already pre-sold. So I could see how that could happen. From my standpoint, I hope it doesn't. From the standpoint of the customers who have already pulled the trigger and are waiting for their RV to show up, I understand how they would want that to happen. There are no perfect solutions out there right now. It feels like every day is just a game of RV triage. Now, one other potential thing that I've heard out there, and again, I hope this does not come to pass, is I've heard rumor of a potential significant rubber shortage. It would affect the industry in a few ways. I think the most significant of which would be we're going to run out of tires. You can build something with no microwave and wait for a microwave to come in. What are you going to do when you can't even put tires on it? And it's not like, oh, we'll just go to some other supplier. If there were more suppliers, more things would be being built. All suppliers are pretty much taxed right now. So if there is just a raw material rubber shortage, which could affect things like RV roof membranes, but again, specifically tires, that could be bad. That could be really bad. I really hope that doesn't happen. But what I don't want to do is end this video on a sour or potentially scary note. I'm not, especially on something that's unconfirmed, I'm not attempting to be a fearmonger. I'm simply trying to share the information that I get to provide it through the lens of the experience that I have and the things that I see. And I always welcome commentary and feedback. And some folks have brought up some really good points sometimes in the comment section, things I hadn't considered. I appreciate that back and forth information very much. But honestly, what I want to do right now is I want to just express some gratitude and just some thankfulness and some positivity. I got hit with something square in the face. I was looking through my calendar today, and I looked back at one calendar year ago. We were sitting on 703 RVs in stock, and we literally couldn't sell them. It was illegal to do our job. It was literally illegal to be here at that time. And where so many other small businesses have struggled, and we've lost some, you know, the small restaurant owners specifically have been hit just so hard. You know, nail salons, hair salons, things like that. Against all these odds, all these challenges, all these shortages, all these, I don't want to discredit this and I don't want to sound like a jerk, but in truth, all of these first world problems that I've talked about today, and they're problems that affect me and problems that affect you, they're problems that I don't want to deal with. Against all of these odds, we have succeeded. We have done very well. We've been able to provide for the 45 families that are employed here at Haylett RV, where many others just simply were not. I'm very thankful for that. I'm thankful for you, our audience. I'm very thankful for our success, especially compared to last year. And I want to take just a minute, again, encourage everybody to shop small. That local restaurant, that hairdresser, they've always been there for you in years past. You really got to be there for them right now as much as you can. We do technically qualify as a small business at Haylett RV. I think we're a very large small business. But again, we've done very well so far. And there's definitely some folks out there that need your assistance, your help, your support, and your consideration. I'm thankful for everything that we've received. I give back where I can, and I just encourage you folks to do the same. And that's all I got for you today, ladies and gentlemen, which admittedly was quite a mouthful, and I jumped around to a lot of different topics. I've been trying to break these up into smaller segments, but I have had so little opportunity, I can't even get out weekly to always do these things. And if you appreciate the fact that we are even willing to share information that you could very easily say is not necessarily to our benefit to share, but it's true whether it's convenient or not, hit the like button on that video. Please hit the subscribe button if you like these updates, you want to see more of these as they come out. And leave me some comments. Let me know what you think about what you're seeing out there, where you're seeing it, or hit the share button and push these things out to your social feeds. And as always, remember, we'd love the opportunity to work with you, but we will always shoot you straight and give you real information here at our family-owned and operated facility. And I am loving this sunshine because 2 days ago it was 25 degrees. I think I'm just going to continue to go for a little bit of a walk here before I get this put out. So as always, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy Haylett camping, everyone.